Welcome to Sacred Cow Shipyards, where no ship is safe from being taken down to its nuts and bolts. You know, once you look past the genocide and the fascism and the totalitarianism and the brainwashing and the child kidnapping and the mass murder and the subjugation and the slavery and the xenophobia and the racism and all those other things that all you squishy humans get so very upset about periodically, the Galactic Empire from Star Wars is kind of a very highly technologically advanced society, mostly because they exploit a lot of populations and steal a lot of technology and use it for their own purposes. Again, y'all get very upset about that. That is frequently how the galaxy works, and y'all will discover that once you get out there. But regardless, given the culture that they were modeled after, it makes even more sense. But the interesting thing about the Empire's technology is they basically dedicate it towards expendable purposes. Their entire military is built around expendable tech, expendable equipment, and expendable people. The last part, again, makes a certain degree of sense given the Empire's history and the fact that their first generation of soldier was literally a mass-produced clone. And really, who cares if mass-produced clones die? After that, they had to get into conscription and brainwashing and child kidnapping and so on and so forth, so it got a little more complicated. But I guess everything that the Empire ever did militarily after the first iteration was all built on the notion that we have unlimited supply of whatever we want. And given that they do, in fact, occupy and exploit entire spans of planets, they kind of do. And one of the best intersections of this highly technologically advanced but totally dispensable culture, in my inestimable opinion, is none other than the Kilo 79 TAC Sierra 80 Imperial Troop Transport. And yes, that is a remarkably stupid identifying number and even more unimaginative name. I mean, it's a troop transport, and they called it the Imperial Troop Transport. Yeah, let's point out the obvious, just in case everyone missed the massive Imperial logo on the side of it and the fact that it's carrying Stormtroopers. Come on, people. Anyways, the Imperial Troop Transport was actually made by Brickian Industries, who you might know and probably don't as the fabricators of Jabba the Hutt's sail barge, as well as those cute little hover skiff thingies that circled around it while Jabba was doing whatever it was Jabba did on Tatooine. Yeah, that's their big claim to fame, is really large, really useless sail barges. And this thing! Yeah, I guess that's diversification for you? And to their credit, it is a fairly advanced vehicle. It is fully repulsor lift capable. In fact, it's designed to be dropped from a certain altitude and then catch itself on its repulsors and go about its merry business. Additionally, it is fairly heavily armed for what it is. It's got a dorsal twin laser turret, not just blaster, but laser turret, and then 2 forward lasers. So it can put the hurt on something directly in front of it, and it can keep other things off of it while it's going places, which again is kind of a big deal for troop transports. I mean, yes, technically you do need to transport troops when they are not actively engaged in a combat zone, but that's the kind of thing you have like trucks or whatever the repulsor lift equivalent of a truck is for. I mean, a deuce and a half, I think, is what they're called on Earth, and you make some repulsor lift version of that, and it's basically just a really powerful engine hooked up to a flatbed with a canvas tarp over it, and you shove it full of stormtroopers, and you drive them around wherever they need to go. This thing, however, is actually a combat-ish troop transport, and the ish part is where we start getting into the disposable aspect of the Empire again. And really the best example of this, of course, is the ubiquitous TIE Fighter. It is designed to literally be cannon fodder. I mean, I'm not saying the Empire has to put a hyperspace drive in all their fighters like the Rebels do, because the Rebels are doing hit-and-run tactics, so they have to have hyperspace-capable fighters, because they simply do not have enough capital ships, because the Mon Calamaris build them so slow, because they're all basically custom. Wow, that was a divergence right there. Anyways, TIE Fighters, disposable. They only win battles because there are just so goddamn many of them. And it's classic swarm overwhelming tactics. It's not even, you don't really even need tactics. You just pump out enough TIE Fighters until the enemy goes away or dies. Well, the Imperial Troop Transport isn't quite in that same category, but it's close. Because yes, the Imperial Troop Transport does have 2 guys up in the front cab driving or doing engineering stuff or whatever the other guy's doing, because it probably only actually takes 1 person to actually drive the vehicle. I guess the other guy could be operating the turret. Which brings me to my second point. It does actually have its own guns. Again, 2 forward laser cannons and 2 turret-mounted laser cannons. And again, not just blasters, lasers. It's a complicated distinction that, unless you're a Star Wars geek, you probably don't understand, but blasters are generally less powerful than lasers, even though they seem to shoot the same kind of bolt. It's complicated and confusing, and don't worry about it too much. The point is, this thing hits above its weight class with 4 laser cannons. For comparison, the AT-AT Walker that everyone knows and loves and wants to trip at every available opportunity only has 2 laser cannons and 2 medium blaster cannons, and the AT-AT is significantly larger than the Imperial Troop Transport, so like I said, it hits way above its weight class. But wait, there's more. See, the fun thing about the Imperial Troop Transport is it can transport a squad of Stormtroopers, which is approximately 10, sometimes less, sometimes more, but that's beside the point. But the fun thing is, 6 of those Stormtroopers get to hang out on the outside of the transport. No, I'm not making this up. They're in these weird little booth things that have like half doors, and their upper bodies are exposed to the elements and to enemy fire and to whatever else is going on. So this is part of the disposable aspect of the Empire. The Empire is literally bolting their Stormtroopers onto the side of their troop transports. Because, I mean, it's more armor, right? Even though Stormtrooper armor doesn't do anything, I'm sure Stormtrooper bodies will absorb blaster shots, so more armor for the transport. But looking past the fact that Stormtrooper armor does jack all, the Stormtroopers themselves have blasters. In fact, they might even have heavy blasters or repeaters or a variety of different weapons. And they are in fact bolted onto the side of the transport. So as the transport is rolling heavy through some rebel stronghold or whatever the hell, the forward lasers are shooting away, the dorsal laser turret is shooting away, and then all 6 Stormtroopers are shooting away with whatever they've got on them. Wow, this thing's like a hovering porcupine. And then, when this transport gets wherever it's going, it unloads all those 6 troopers along with the 4 other ones, or maybe more that were inside the transport, and suddenly it's a really, really big party. And, I mean, I really have to appreciate using the people who are riding the transport to help defend the transport. That makes so very much sense. I mean, these guys have weapons, sometimes, that can take down entire vehicles. They have heavy repeaters, heavy blasters, rocket launchers, all kinds of things. Although, I guess a rocket launcher with a solid armored bulkhead behind you that would reflect the backblast of the rocket back, onto you might not be the best idea ever. But again, this kind of ties into my point of the disposability of how the Empire works. They literally just strap these blinking Stormtroopers onto the side of the transports, and hey, if most of them survive when they get there, great. And even if they don't survive, they're still helping defend the transport. And if the transport gets there, it's still got enough guns on it that could probably make a difference in the fight. And hey, those troopers died. That's horrible. Let's go get some more. Wow. I mean, I only wish I had that kind of disposable workforce here at the docks, because we kind of go through some workers pretty quickly sometimes. Sorry, what? Anyways, Empire. Yes. They just have this weird intersection of disposability and massively high tech. And the intersection actually kind of serves their purpose. Because the easiest way to keep a population subjugated is to kill off lots and lots of them by wholesale lots. And you don't want to just, murder them outright in the street, because that makes everyone cranky. But if you can script them and you use them and they're part of your workforce, well, then they're making your planet better, right? And if they die in job lots while they're making your planet better, well, they were just defending your planet or defending the Empire or doing their imperial duty. It's a really horrific concept when you get right down to it. They are literally rationing their technology in a way that keeps their subjugated planets in check. And, well, I guess that pretty much sums up the Galactic Empire for you. At least, assuming you don't know anything about the Yuuzhan Vong, which probably you don't because the mouse annihilated any kind of reference to them, so ignore this comment for your own sake. And that's all from Sacred Cow Shipyards. Please be advised that any ship left on the dock for more than 24 hours will be compressed to a cube. Have a good day.